Okay, guys. I just realized today that I have shown you the pull toy dog with the articulated legs several times in several different videos, but finished. Not actually working on it. So I'm cutting these pieces for the articulated legs, the ears, and out of 3/4 inch solid oak. And I'm going to be using a number 5 ground tooth blade. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see the teeth on it, to be perfectly honest. Number 5 ground tooth blade, and it's a double tooth skip. So you'll have 2 teeth and then a space of 2 teeth missing. And it alternates like that. And of course, like I always like to use, it's a reverse tooth blade, so it gets a clean cut on the back side of the work as well. Let me get the saw set up and I'll be right back. Okay, now, these are very simple cutouts, but because they're out of such a thick hardwood, I just have to be a little careful on the blade speed so I don't burn up the blades. But let's get to it. Now, one thing about a big open tooth blade like this is you really do need to be mindful of where your fingers are, because unlike a 2 that'll just give you a little rub mark, this number 5 blade will take a chunk out of your finger if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. So, like I said, it's a simple process of just getting these things cut out. But it's just the aggressiveness of the blade and the thickness and the hardness of the wood is what makes it a more challenging cut if you're not paying attention. So. One thing I'm noticing about thick hardwood is no matter what saw you cut it on, it does like to argue with you, especially if you're using a big blade like this number 5. And because it's such an open tooth aggressive blade, if you're working on a small piece of wood like this, it tends to catch every here and there and not turn quickly when you're trying to do a radius like the more narrow ends of this dog ear. So you have to kind of somewhat anticipate your turn and start turning a little bit before you get there, because the blade's going to be slow to come around and follow the line. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, just have these 4 upper legs to cut out, and I'm going to be done with the thick hardwood. Then I'll take you guys out to the shop and show you the body, which is made out of 1.5 inch thick worth of laminated birch ply. Okay, so, anyways, I'm not going to make you guys watch me cut out the rest of these legs, so I'm going to pause you guys here, and I'll be back when I'm working on the body. Right then, well, the trick, such as it is trying to get my camera close enough to the bandsaw that you can see what the heck I'm doing, and not have me standing in the way, because as soon as I start working on projects, my big old hands get in the way. Legs are done. This massive piece is the body, and like I said, it's cut out of about 1.5 inch thick, 2 3/4 pieces of birch ply laminated together and glued very solidly. So to follow all those lines, get the thing cut out, and hopefully do it without burning or breaking the blade. Because the only blade we have left that'll cut this sucker out is a 1/4 inch blade. Now, some of these turns I am not going to be able to do with this blade. It just doesn't cover that tight a radius, so I'm going to have to chip away at these corners by taking slices here, there, and everywhere. So bear with me, guys. It's going to be really loud, so I'll probably just fast forward it and put some music over it. But anyways, away we go. Because right behind me is the table saw and a couple of scrap boxes for wood that we don't want to throw away yet. So yeah, getting my large carcass between this piece and the table saw and the garage door and the bandsaw is not the easiest thing to do. We need a bigger garage. I knew the wood was going to burn a little bit. That's why you have the charred corduroy on this one. Now, all the glue that there is in the layers of plywood, plus the fact that we had to laminate 2 thick sheets of it together to make the body, it creates a lot of blade heat. So luckily all those minor burn marks can be sanded off on the belt sander, and I'll do those when I do the finish on the body. But for right now, I just want to get this thing rough cut out for you. Ah, yes. The smoky smell of burnt glue. Ick. Now here's the point where we take a second and let the blade cool down, because Mr. Eric decided to make too tight of a cut and got the blade super friggin' hot. So short of breaking the blade, I'm going to just let it do its thing. So I'll be back in a second, guys. Whew. Yeah, I got that blade a little warm. I could smell it walking back into the shop. But no worries, it's fine. It's cooled down now, so keep on chugging along. Okay, that cut looks pretty ragged, but what I'm going to end up doing is going over to the oscillating belt sander and cleaning that right up, so no problems there. Top of the body to the tail is all roughed out. I mean, we have an 80 grit belt for the sander, so that'll take care of getting it to the right shape. So I'm going to finish this up because this bandsaw makes an ungodly amount of noise. And, yep, be right back. Alright, so pile of parts aside, all that came off of that guy. So the body's been roughed out, so I got the wrong belt on the sander, so I got to do a quick belt change before I can get to sanding this bad boy. Now, I'll definitely be speeding up and putting music over this belt sander, because I have to run the both the dust fan and the vacuum when this thing is running, because it turns this garage into a fog bank of dust. Now the weird sounds you keep hearing in the background on my cell phone going off. It's my friend in LA, Mike. He keeps in touch with me and tracks my father and I's woodworking projects online through either Lumberjocks or YouTube, and I kind of give him a heads up. He lived up here before he moved south with his fiance, and they're getting married this August, so congrats to them. I mean, I really hope things work out for them, because they seem to be great together. So. Let's make some noise! Okay. Now the main reason, I'll put the 120 belt back on when I go to do a final sanding, but the 80 grit belt is perfect for taking off all of this corduroy from the bandsaw and leaving a nice smoother and soon to be very smooth finish. But the 80 grit belt is perfect for sanding it to shape, so I'll continue with that. Well, we're definitely getting there. Still have some areas around the front leg and the underside of the head that need to be rough sanded so that I can put on the other belt. But so, work in progress. This is going to be part 1 of this video, and part 2 will be on Dan Snow's Wooden Toys channel, so you guys can see the completed project after my father works his magic with the finish. Now, my father has already done the wheels, so these are done. What he does is the same thing I do. He uses a hole saw to cut out the wheel, and then what he does is an extra touch to make it look like it's a wheel and tires. He comes in with a smaller hole saw and gives it a nice groove so that it has a little bit more of a detailed look to it than the simple wheels that I make. Now this whole off to the side, this is going to be the eccentric that that the legs move up and down on, so that you get the illusion that the dog's walking. Sanding, and more sanding. You guys all know how much I love sanding, but it's not by hand; it's by machine, so it's a little bit easier. All right, guys. As always, more to come.